Okay, hi everyone. I'm Rachel Thompson, HSC's National Director of Development, and I'm excited to introduce this next session, Social Media 101, with HSC's own Marketing Administrator, Deanna Butt. Deanna creates and shares all of the content you see on HSC's social media platforms. Previously, she was social media lead at Wilfrid Laurier University. In her social media work, Deanna applies valuable knowledge gained from her honors degree in communication studies, concentrating in digital media. Deanna has been raising awareness for HD since 2015 by walking alongside the Durham chapter at their annual Huntington Heroes Walk. She now uses her passion for HD and knowledge of digital media as a way to better spread awareness, educate, and reach even wider audiences through social media. Now consider this. In today's society, the use of social media has become integrated into everyday life. It is viewed as a necessity and driving tool for event planning, raising awareness, and spreading information. This 50-minute crash course will teach you the basics of social media, including tips and tricks on what to post and how to post it. Get ready to hit that like button because you're going to love this session. And now, Deanna, it is over to you.
All right, thanks, Rachel. Hi, everyone. I'm just going to share my screen. There we go. So, good afternoon, everyone. It's so nice to see you all today. I hope you're enjoying conference so far and all the amazing sessions we have on offer, because I know I certainly am. So as Rachel mentioned, to give a little bit of background about my history in digital media. So my name is Deanna Butt, and I am the marketing administrator at HSC. And I oversee the creation and sharing of all the content on the Society's social media platforms. So this session is called Social Media 101. And during this 50-minute crash course, as Rachel mentioned, I will give you a basic overview of social media. Together, we will highlight some of the platforms, as well as give you some tips and tricks that you can walk away with to use on your own platforms. Whether some of this content might be old, it might be a refresher, and it might be brand new information for you, I promise there will be something for everyone within this presentation, regardless of your experience. Also, since we are the only social media workshop at conference, please feel free to use your phones during this session to join in the conversation using hashtag HDCon22, which you can see right in the bottom corner, right beside our logo here on the slide. Share your favorite tips, talk about some of your favorite sessions, engage with others, or ask questions, and I will be more than happy to respond to you after this presentation. So let's get started. I also do want to let you know that there are some activities within this presentation. So by all means, if you would like to turn on your camera or answer some questions later, there will be some participation later. Perfect. So an overview of social media. In today's society, the use of social media has become integrated into everyday life. It is developed into a necessity and a driving tool for event planning, raising awareness, and spreading information. It is constantly growing and changing to the point where it seems like there's a new platform or update every single day. You know, when you go into the App Store every day and there's always a new update on your phone because it's just constantly changing. Because of the growing nature of social media, it's important to stay up to date on the current trends and making sure you're choosing those channels wisely so you're hitting that right target audience, which we will dive well into within this presentation. It's also really important for nonprofits to use social media, as it is a great way to spread awareness and information to wider audiences, especially those reaching outside of your community, which is also very important. And we can do this all through social media without spending a dime. HSC uses social media to educate, fundraise, recruit new volunteers, share community stories, foster community engagement, create a digital brand, and so much more. To dive right in, we'll start with an overview of a few specific platforms. As much as I'd love to cover them all, I think that might take a full day of conference. So to talk about a few, today we're just going to focus on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So first, how we're going to do this is each platform, we're going to start with the demographics. So I'm going to tell you a little about who's on the platform, and then we'll talk about a bit about the platform. So starting off with Facebook, Some demographics is there's roughly 2.96 billion monthly active users on Facebook. It is the most online used social network worldwide, which is crazy. There's 30.4 million Facebook users in Canada, which is almost 80% of the Canadian population. So it's pretty popular. The majority of users are in the 25 to 34 age range, with that occupying about 24% of the population. And the least popular age group on Facebook is between the ages of 13 to 17, which occupies about 4%. Majority of Facebook users in Canada are women, occupying about 54%. So in summary, all this tells us that Facebook is the most popular platform, with majority of the audience being adult women. A little bit about Facebook now. So suggested posting on Facebook is about 1 to 2 times per day. Although some days you might want to post more and you might want to post less, and that's totally okay. We just try not to be too post happy, is what they call it, as some studies show that there is a drop in engagement to those who constantly post more than the average rate. So try to stick to that average of 1 to 2 times per day. Facebook caters to a wider variety of audiences due to the wide features that it offers. You'll see this compared to the other platforms, but with Facebook, users don't always just need to post and comment and like. It's more than that. They can look at local news feeds, create live videos, make event plans, send messages, ask for recommendations. They can play games with each other. They can buy and sell things. And there's just so much more to do, which allows for that wider audience to be on Facebook. Specifically, HSC uses Facebook to fundraise, promote events, spread awareness, share stories, connect with others, and recognize sponsors via tagging, which we will talk about later as well. The Facebook fundraising tool makes it very easy to fundraise for charities and nonprofits, and you may have seen this on your own Facebook via your friend's birthday fundraiser, which are great ways to fundraise for nonprofits. The Facebook events tab makes it also very easy to promote and share events. You can send it out to everyone. You can invite all your friends, you can invite your followers, you can have them like, and so they're interested, they want to go, they don't want to go, all in this one event platform, which is perfect for keeping all the information in that one place. So now we're going to move on to Instagram, which is my personal favorite, starting off with some demographics. There's 2 billion active users worldwide on Instagram, and there are over 18 million Instagram users in Canada, which is just under half of the country's population. The majority of the age is 25 to 34 years old, with that occupying almost 30%. And the least popular age group on Instagram is 65 plus, occupying about 4.3%. Majority of Instagram users in Canada are women. So in summary, again, this data tells us that Instagram is still very popular, but not as popular as Facebook, with the majority of the audience still being women, but we are now moving to a younger demographic. A little bit about Instagram. So the suggested posting frequency on Instagram is the same as Facebook. It's about 1 to 2 times per day. A fun fact is that Instagram is actually owned by Facebook. Instagram focuses more on the photo and video sharing aspect, especially with Instagram Reels, which we'll get to in one moment. But the difference between Instagram and Facebook is that Facebook, you can just share text as it is. You don't need to pair it with Instagram, whereas on Instagram, you always have to accompany your text with some sort of media. So Instagram Reels are a great way to spread messages far and wide if you're going to share a video on your platform. They're just short and sweet videos. Typically the best are about 15 seconds, and you pair this with a trending sound and you just might have yourself a viral video on Instagram. The stories feature is the next one of my favorite things on Instagram, and it's a popular tool to share at event highlights where you can post multiple images or short videos with text and fun graphics. If you go to our Instagram right now, you'll actually see lots of fun conference stories right now on our stories on our Instagram from the weekend. So these stay on your stories for about 24 hours. And after that, you can save them to the highlights section on your profile for others to view at a later date. So just giving you a little guide here, you can see where it says like Amaryllis events, thank you, NVW 2022. These are our highlights. So once our stories have expired, they go into our highlights section on our profile, kind of like an archive folder. you can go into and see anytime you'd like. On Instagram, events and storytelling photos, which we will also get to later, are by far the best kind of things you can post. With events, it's fun, people are laughing, you're showing support, they're wearing HSC and HG gear. Whether if it's an event that just happened or you're throwing it back to an event, people just love these photos. And I say this because people love faces, and that won't be the last time you hear me say that today. Just be mindful though, before posting any photos with faces, that we have consent and we have their knowledge that we will post these for privacy concerning reasons. Another thing to be mindful is the first impression feature about Instagram. With Facebook, when you go onto someone's profile, you just see the most recent post. Whereas on Instagram, you can see all of their posts that they've previously posted as a grid right when you go to their profile. So it's important to keep in mind the first impression that you get when visiting someone's Instagram. Specifically in the younger demographic, when visiting an Instagram page, we look for the aesthetically pleasing aspect of it, if the color theory, all that kind of stuff. So just make sure that you're being mindful of how your grid on your Instagram looks, which is just one other thing to add to the fun. Another important thing to know about Instagram is that links do not transfer over in your captions. So if you'll notice on our Instagrams, every time we say, click the link in our bio, and that is solely because we cannot link things in Instagram because links do not hyperlink as an Instagram caption. We use a platform called LinkedIn Bio, which you'll be able to see in this photo. And if you'd like more information about that platform and how to have links within your Instagram, please let me know at the end of this session or shoot me a message and I will be more than happy to tell you more about it. Now on to Twitter. So some demographics with Twitter is there's approximately 450 million active users worldwide on Twitter, approximately 6.45 million active users in Canada. Majority of the age is from 25 to 34 years old, with that occupying about 38.5%. And the least popular age group is 13 to 17, with that occupying about 6.6%. Majority of Twitter users in Canada are male, occupying 63%. This is the first platform we've seen today that is the majority is occupied by males. So in summary, this tells us that in comparison to Instagram and Facebook, Twitter is not near as popular, it has a more specific target audience, and it is more catered to males. So a little bit about Twitter. The suggested posting on Twitter is about 3 times plus per day. This is the most frequent posted platform out of all 4 we'll be talking about today. Because of the 280 character limit on Twitter, tweets are meant to be more kind of short and sweet and to the point, which helps grab the attention for viewers and makes for a quick and easy read, which also allows for that more posting to be going on throughout the day. It is a very active and responsive platform that is best used for sharing information, following hashtags, and catching up on the latest news and events. For example, if you go to Huntington's Twitter today, you will see that we are live tweeting, and we have been live tweeting all weekend, which is very exciting. The retweeting feature offers on Twitter makes it very simple to share information from other accounts, whether this be from chapter members, researchers, HSC accounts. It's an easy way to help spread the message far and wide, and just as easy as a click of a button. Now we're moving on to LinkedIn. So we're going to talk about some demographics here, and this is our last platform that we'll be overseeing here right now. So there are 875 million members worldwide, over 20 million users in Canada, and majority of the age group is from 25 to 34 years old, with that occupying 60%, which is a very large percentage. The least popular age group on LinkedIn occupied about 3%, and that was 55 plus. And the majority of LinkedIn users worldwide are male, with occupying just over 57%. So in summary, this data, again, similar to Twitter, tells us that LinkedIn is not near as popular, but it does have a specific target audience and is catered to males. Now about LinkedIn. The suggested posting for LinkedIn is about 1 post per day. It's focused more on engaging with people's posts rather than your own, so kind of engaging with other posts and creating that professional development. The audience on LinkedIn is business and skills-minded people, more so looking for opportunities. So An example of this is that I'm sure we've all seen a job posting on LinkedIn, or maybe we got our job from LinkedIn, or we applied for a job on LinkedIn. That's because it's very career focused and opportunity driven. So speaking of that, again, if you'd like to get involved with HSC, LinkedIn is a great place to look and keep up with opportunities with HSC and what we're offering. Whenever we have a job or any volunteering opportunities, you can always find out on our LinkedIn, along with more information and how to apply. So this is where some participation comes in. Which one is your favorite of these four I've just covered today? Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Do we have any favorites? You can raise a hand and mute yourself. I'll give it a minute.
I would say my favorite is Instagram right now.
And how come? Why do you like Instagram, Rachel?
I really find that, especially during COVID and with all the different types of apps, the frequent updates to the story features of Instagram really helps me kind of stay up to date with family and friends, but also organizations I support and news updates too.
That's great. Instagram's my favorite too.
Janice in the chat is saying that she likes Facebook.
Oh, Janice, you like Facebook? How come you, what about Facebook do you like?
I like Instagram and Facebook, but I just find I spend more time on Facebook because my friends post more updates there, and it's more of a feeling like you're connecting with friends, but I like to look at pretty pictures on Instagram.
Instagram has great pretty pictures, but I agree, Facebook is great for connecting with those relatives and friends that you don't maybe see all the time.
Yeah, Jamie in the chat is saying that he used to use all of them, but now only Facebook. I'm not sure, Jamie, if you want to come on and say why you're switching primarily to Facebook, or if you just want to reply in the chat. But we've got another chat note that says Facebook. So it seems like Facebook is maybe one of the most popular, and I don't think I'm surprised by that. Deanna would probably know more, but I see a lot of good HSC social media posts perform really well on Facebook. So that does not surprise me.
Yeah, and like we just talked about, there's, 80% of the population is on Facebook. So I'm not surprised that it is the most popular one. But that's great. Thanks for everyone's answers there and helping participation there with that. But yeah, as I mentioned, Instagram is my favorite just because, you get to scroll through all these pretty pictures, as Janice mentioned, and they have those Instagram reels, which I can get lost in time going through those. So yeah, that's awesome. So now we're going to talk about some tips and tricks. So now that we've learned a little bit about the platforms, we're going to talk about some tips and tricks that you can use on all of these platforms. So the first tip we're going to talk about is cater your content to the platforms. So after learning about all the platform demographics, I thought this was a perfect place to start. So basically, you kind of want to decide on your key information and share, know your target audience. So now that you know the demographics, so if your key message is that you're looking for volunteers, you're going to move to LinkedIn. If you want to share a quick video recap about an event, post it to your Instagram Reels. If you want the latest news, maybe go to Twitter. So just kind of understanding what your key message is and then cater that content to the platforms and the demographics to making sure that you're hitting your right target audience. The next one is consistency across platforms and campaigns. This one is very important, and this applies to posting and your brand, which we'll both talk about. For posting, you want consistency to post often and keep your followers engaged. You want to stay at the top of their minds and at the top of their feeds. So this also kind of goes in balance. So you don't want to be posting, if you don't post 0 1 week and then you want to make up for it and post 6 the next week. It also is consistency in your posting and consistency in the frequency of your posting. So kind of making sure you're hitting that average of 1 to 2 times on whatever platform that you're posting on. You also want to stay consistent with your branding across all your channels. So when I say this, I don't mean post the same graphic every time and the same caption every time, but more so the language you use and the color themes you're using, if it's your branding colors, your messaging, the quality of your photos and videos, and as I just mentioned, the frequency of your posts also establishes a brand as well. you want your users to kind of see your message on any platform and automatically know that that belongs to your brand and your company or your personal account. And yes, we've learned anything so far, it's that there are billions of people on social media, so being consistent will help you really stand out from the crowd. The next one is offering value. So you want to give people a reason to follow you. So making sure your posts are educational, entertaining, inspiring. You want your post to add value to his audience and make it worth their time to interact with your content. Think about it for a little bit, maybe even have a conversation about it. So before you post, ask yourself a simple question. What value does this post add to my community? This can help you filter through unengaging content and always have something great to offer your followers. This one is my personal favorite, and we do have an activity within this one, so stay tuned. But a next tip is become a storyteller. Speaking of content that adds value, nothing is more inspiring and thought-provoking than real life stories. Studies show that our brains are 22% more likely to remember a fact if it is presented to us in a story, because people remember emotions. Sharing stories and photos creates an emotional and engaging experience that moves people to get involved and share their own experiences. Sharing stories also provides people with the feeling of being seen and a part of something bigger. Instead of telling people what you do, let's show them the impact of our work through real life stories. So become a storyteller. Now we have a fun little activity. So I'm going to read you 2 posts, and then I want you to tell me which one you prefer and why. So the first one is, with support from our dedicated donors and volunteers, X company was able to help fund the development of 2 free shelters along with food and necessities for those at-risk neighborhoods by providing them with a safe place to call home. Help us build more shelters by clicking here. That was post 1. Post 2 is, until last month, Jim had been unsheltered for 2 years. Thanks to your support, Jim now has a warm place to lay his head and a safe place to call home at no cost to him or his family. When we asked Jim if there was anything else we could do, he said, more shelters and more beds. Help us build more shelters and help more people just like Jim by clicking here. Okay, so which one did you like better? Which one would you be more inclined to hit that click here button for?
Feel free to put your answer in the chat or come live through camera or audio here, and you can tell us which one you preferred. I know personally, I preferred the second one.
Why do you prefer the second one, Rachel?
Personally, I feel that it helps you relate to the scenario a bit better when you kind of put a name and a bit more personal aspects of it. I think it helps you understand what the story is trying to convey better than the first option.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think our brains are kind of wired for receiving stories and turning on listening mode and just sort of taking, like you said, Deanna, you remember things more without struggling to remember. Like even, you know, as you were talking, I found myself sort of getting in that feeling of, oh, someone's telling me a story and wanting to know what happens next.
I couldn't have said it better myself, Janice. It's exactly it. The personal story of Jim is the one that would be better catered for the storytelling aspect. Pair it with a photo of Jim instead of, a photo of the shelter or building or graphic, and it's definitely the winner. And this is again solely on the fact that people love faces. We love to read about stories that we can relate to, everyday life stories that can draw on our emotions. So interview people, share real life stories, and share the impact of your work through your stories. The next one we're going to talk about is always have a call to action. So as you saw in that last storytelling activity, always have a call to action. Storytellings are the best ways to have that clear and effective call to action, which is what we were doing there with, click here to help Jim, click here to build more shelters. You can only put so much content on social media as it is meant to be a short and sweet glimpse of something with a call to action on where users can learn more, buy tickets, send messages. So always make sure you're having that call to action on your Instagrams and catering it to that, or on all your platforms. And see, you can tell my favorite's Instagram, but and catering it to that. The next one is take advantage of social media trends. Trends spread like wildfire, but they also burn out fast. So keep an eye out for them. They're constantly changing. Take advantage of trending sounds, hashtag challenges, acronyms, and find ways to incorporate them into your posts. But some trends also do have meaning, so be sure to understand a trend before hopping on a bandwagon, or maybe even consider making your own. A good example of a trend that had meaning was the ice bucket challenge for ALS, which I'm sure we all know very well of because it was a very popular trend. Using these trends will help drive traffic to your profile, and it is an easy way to go viral and in turn increase your reach and engagements and reach wider audiences, which who doesn't want? So now is our next activity. I think this is the last one. So this is, we're going to test how well you know your acronyms. I'm going to see how trending you all are. We're going to play a little game. So I have 5 little acronyms on the screen. I started off pretty easy with the first one, but if you can tell me what they are, maybe just give a thumbs up and then we can call on you or put them in the chat and Rachel can read them out. But what do we think LOL means?
Is that laugh out loud?
Wow, good job. It is laugh out loud. All right, next one, TBT.
I don't know if I actually know this one or not. I want to say it's Throwback Tuesday, Throwback Thursday, but I could be wrong.
You're very much right.
It used to be Throwback Thursday. I don't know if that's still a thing or not.
It's Throwback Thursday. We're throwing it back. We're throwing it back with some throwback acronyms. Now we have WBW, which this one's a little harder, but I'm going to give you a hint. It's similar to TBT, and we did just use it on our socials this week.
Way Back Wednesday?
Yeah, woo! Exactly. We did a Way Back Wednesday throwback to YPAD Day in honor of our upcoming YPAD Day, November 26th. The next one's a little harder. This one, I don't think I've ever personally used, so we'll see how this one goes, is ICYMI. Any takers?
This one I know well from all of our Amaryllis posts going out.
Yes.
And not everyone can always be online or get an email or see a social media post at the exact time. So I'm pretty sure this was, in case you missed it, to repost something or follow up about something.
Exactly, Rachel. In case you missed it, was that one. The last one is also an easy one. I'm going to finish off with an easy one, but can anyone tell me what DM means?
I don't think it's direct mail, which is what HSC's thought would probably be when I see DM. Anyone else have an idea?
You got 50%, right? Message. Yes, Janice, direct message. So if you have any questions after this session, you can always DM me. See what I did there? Okay, awesome. Now we're going to keep going. So we got some pretty tech savvy people in here. The next tip is stay organized. When managing all of these platforms at once, it can become a lot. So it's important to stay organized and on top of all of your posts. Creating posts for upcoming events, holidays, fundraisers, etc. It all takes planning. So maybe try creating a social media calendar and having everything organized in one place. This allows you to kind of look back on what has been posted previously and also plan for future events and posts. Staying organized also allows you to schedule future posts. So this will keep up that kind of consistency factor that we were talking about earlier, but also ensure that your accounts are still up to date and active when you might not be. All right, so the next tip we're going to talk about is tagging people. So this is a really easy way to recognize sponsors or allow people from outside of your existing audience to see your post, ultimately increasing the reach of your post and messaging even further. Just be cautious when sharing a photo that tagging someone and tagging someone that you have their consent again before doing so, again, for that privacy concern reasons. Building relationships is our next tip, which is one very, very important tip. So always respond and engage with comments, stories, tag post messages, all that stuff. Even if you just want to react to a comment with a like or a hug and show the user that you've seen them and you appreciate their comment. This will not only highlight you as a responsive and friendly group or individual, but more importantly, it'll strengthen that relationship with your very loyal and amazing followers, but also help users feel connected and overall create that really positive and engaging digital community. My last tip, which again, I told you to hear this multiple times, but people love faces. I felt like this one deserved its own little tips and tricks slide. This one's a short one, but just always remember to pair it with an image, share those stories, add those storytelling features, ask users to add photos in their comments or ask users to tag you in their photos. Basically, always try to encourage those photos. A picture says 1,000 words. And let's try to share and receive as many as we can. We're just going to talk about now, switch it up to talk about a little bit of social media analytics. I could talk about social media analytics for a whole day. There's so many analytics, but for the sake of this presentation, I just wanted to talk about a few of them to give you a little bit of an overview of how you can track some of your engagements on some social media platforms. So social media analytics is the best way to see what content is performing well and which posts get the most engagements. Although, so we're just going to do a high level of how you can track your growth online in this slide right here. So for reach, the reach is basically the number of people who see your content. This percentage can be of your followers or of your non-followers, which is great to see, especially comparing the percentage of non-followers, because that means you're reaching people outside of your organization or your community, which is always great to see. Impressions is the number of times people saw your post. So this can be higher than reach because the same person might look at your content multiple times, and that's okay. And then engagement rate is a measure of the numbers of engagement. So this is the likes, the comments, the shares, all of that stuff adds the engagement rate, and that all creates that number for us. So reach, impressions, and engagement, I would say, are the top 3 social media analytics that you can find on all 4 platforms that we just talked about. So if you're going to remember anyone's, remember those 3. If you want to take a picture of this slide, by all means as well. The next one is your audience growth rate. So how many new followers you get within a certain amount of time is that one. Then we're going to talk about profile visits, which is the number of times your profile was viewed or someone went to view your profile. And the last one is the click-through rate. So this one's very important because it shows how often people click a link in a post that you've made. So similar to the call to action, it gives you a sense of how many people saw your social media content and want to learn more. It again shows us how successful our call to actions are and how to adjust them for that optimal call to action performance within our posts. So it's a little snapshot of a few social media analytics. Again, feel free to take a photo of it. There are hundreds and hundreds of stats you can pull from social media, but I do think these are the most important ones that apply to all 4 platforms. There we go. So the next one is how to get involved with HSC on social media. So now that we've talked about some of the background of the platforms, the best practices, some of the analytics, now we're going to talk about how you can get involved and support HSC within each of these individual social media platforms. For Facebook, so every post has these options to either like, comment, and share. And you have many sharing options, including Share Now, which shares directly to your feed, Share to a feed, which allows you to write something. You can share this in a messenger to your friends, share to a page, share to a group, or even share on a friend's timeline. So there's lots of ways to engage in a post. So this is a snapshot of one of our Amaryllis posts from our Facebook page. And you can see we have the like, the comment, and then the options to share right there. Any of these buttons, perfect. Any of these work. The next thing we're going to talk about is Instagram. So same as Facebook, every post have these options to either like, comment, or share. And then the sharing allows you to share a post to your stories or send it to someone, which you can see it's in our story in the right-hand picture, and the left-hand is the photo. So in the left-hand, you see there's the like, the comment, the share. You can also save them. And then in this feature photo, we have you shared the post to your story now. If you want the extra step 2, you can always regram our post to your own Instagram feed. It's similar to retweeting a tweet, whereas Twitter allows you to do it kind of in one click, whereas with Instagram, it involves a few more steps. Personally, I think the easiest option for posting a photo from onto your own feed would be to screenshot the photo, simply crop it to the photo, and then post it to your own feed, and then tag the original creator just to give them that original credit. Now we're going on to Twitter. So every tweet has the same option to like, comment, retweet, and share. So you can see the comment adds to that Twitter thread, so it keeps all the tweets connected, and the retweet shares right to your feed, and the quote tweet allows you to write something similar to as Facebook allows you to do. And then the share allows you to share to other platforms outside of Twitter. So you can text it to someone, you can email it to someone, you can share it to Facebook and those other kind of platforms. So you can see that here we have the comment, the retweet, the like, and the share. And then when you hit the retweet on your right-hand side, this is what pops up, either retweet or quote tweet. Lastly, we have LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, again, has the same features on every post. You can like, comment, repost, and send. So when you hit the repost button, you have the share with your thoughts, which allows you to write something with the post. And then the repost button just instantly shares it right to your feed. Again, similar to what we were just talking about with Twitter and Facebook. The send option allows you to direct message to someone. This can be one of your friends, your coworkers, etc. Basically, you choose who you want to direct message this someone to. DM for acronym, as we've just talked about. So basically, by engaging in our posts in any of these ways, it helps our engagement rates and reach, which ultimately means that the algorithm is going to be putting us on more people's feeds. And this is always a good thing, because this is how we raise awareness for HD, and this is how we get the word out on social media, from getting the circle, to a wider circle than beyond our existing community without having to spend a dime. But we do need your help to do that. So HSC is on all of the platforms mentioned today, and we are constantly sharing various updates on our social media pages. If you are on any of these platforms or all of them, please follow, connect, and engage with us. You'll see that we have the 4 at the top, as what we just covered. We also have YouTube and TikTok. So I will leave this slide up for a moment if you want to take a photo of it, if you want to start following us, but that would be awesome. So yeah, if you have any questions, again, feel free to pop them in that questions tab, but if not, or you remember a question later, feel free to message us on social media, or you can email me directly at dbutt@huntingtonsociety.ca, and I'll be more than happy to help. Otherwise, it's been great chatting, and I guess I'll have some questions now. I hope you guys enjoyed that Social Media 101 crash course.
Thanks so much, Deanna. That was super informative. Even coming from a non-social media perspective, I can agree that we've all learned a lot today. And it does look like we've already got some questions up here in the Q&A tab. So I'll just read a couple out to you, but if anyone else on the stream has a question, they can pop it in the Q&A tab, in the chat, or come here live through audio and video to ask Deanna. We've got about 10 minutes for some good Q&A. So I'll get it started off. Does suggested posting frequency change with the number of followers?
That's a great question. Statistically, to be like as an actual statistic answer. I'm not actually 100% sure if the frequency changes. I would assume that it would, because your suggested post is based off of the information that you like, the information that you share, the people that you follow, the people that follow you. So the more followers you have, or the more different kind of people you follow or they follow you, that would definitely change what the algorithm is bringing to you as a suggested post. But yeah, statistically, I'm not 100% sure on the exact number of that, but I would assume that it definitely would.
Thanks. Okay, so social media can be overwhelming with lots of different platforms. The question is, if you only kind of have mental capacity to choose one social media platform, which is the best one to stay up to date with HSC on?
That's a really good question, because social media definitely can be very overwhelming, which we've talked about. And that's why, you know, if you are managing social media platforms, try that social media calendar and it might help. But for picking one specific platform to follow HSC on, I would suggest Facebook, just because not only is, you know, Facebook, we are very active on every single one of our platforms, but I would say just for the aspect of Facebook being that most popular platform worldwide and there being the most active users on Facebook, I would suggest that as the #1 platform to use when following HSC.
Thank you. Okay, so for Instagram Reels or Stories, the question is, where can you find the trending music that you talked about on those platforms?
Yeah, so when you go into your Instagram Reels, I'm going to pull up my phone just so I can say it as I'm going through it. But when you go into your Instagram and you click that middle button that shows Reels, you can scroll through, and then below the caption, there's a sound button, and you just hit that sound. And then it should take you to kind of trending sounds that are going on there. Also, when you're in the Reels section, sounds will used multiple times, and that's how you kind of know if a sound is trending as well. So if you hear the same sound multiple times, that's a trending sound, so feel free to save that and use that. But it's all in that Reels section that you'll be able to find all of that information.
Great, thanks, Deanna. Got another question here about wanting to support HSC through reposting the social media that you have up on, let's say Facebook, for instance, but don't want to overwhelm my friends on Facebook with so many HSC posts. What do you think is a good frequency to share, and what kinds of posts are most impactful to be sharing from a personal side if you're wanting to get your friends on your Facebook involved with HSC?
Yeah, of course. That's a really good question. And it's, you know, when you're sharing posts on Facebook, I'd consider it the same as the amount of posts you're posting that day, maybe. So if you want to post that 1 to 2 times a day, maybe consider that as one. But if HSC posts 3 posts a day, you only need to post 1, because still you're directing people to our page, and in the end they will see all 3 because of that 1 share that you did. But again, if you're comfortable with it, it's more so comfort level on how much you want to share. We are grateful for however much anyone is willing to share on our feed. So if you're comfortable only doing once a week, or, you know, twice a week, then that's totally fine, because it's your comfort level on your own social media platforms. In terms of what content you should share, that's, again, I would say your own comfort level, but content where people can engage, such as that call to action aspect where, you know, it's purchase an Amaryllis to support. That's a good one to share. Or conference, maybe people sharing conference registration out to your community to see if they want to conference or YPAD day. Those are all actionable posts that have an impact to HSC and could have an impact to your followers if they're interested in the content and want to get involved as well.
Great. Okay, looks like we've got time for a couple more questions. So one is about being able to use some of the donation or events donations features on Facebook. This person writes that they've seen some of their friends do fundraisers for different charities in their life on their Facebook. Is that something that HSC does, and why or why not?
Yeah, so we we don't have fundraisers through Facebook. We have it through, our affiliated HSC pages, but we are registered with Facebook as a registered charity. So we are registered in that Facebook fundraiser section. So by all means, if you want to have a birthday fundraiser and if you want to have a little fundraiser for HSC via Facebook, we are registered. So you can add us as the nonprofit that you want to support, and you can fundraise for HSC through Facebook.
So basically what you're saying is you can set it up personally, but there's nothing set up by HSC for fundraising, correct?
On Facebook, all of our fundraising is set via like other external web pages affiliated with HSC, or via our website. Hitting that donate button on our website is a great option too. But we do not have any Facebook fundraisers running right now national wide.
Okay, great. And yeah, I think that's a great option for people to raise funds as well. And if you're not as savvy with Facebook, but looking to set up some type of specific fundraising link, you can definitely talk to our development team, and we'd also be happy to assist you with that. And it looks like we've got time for one more question, and then we'll wrap it up. And so the last question is, what can I do to make sure more people are sharing my posts or commenting on my posts? Sometimes I post something and there's not a lot of engagement.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I would again direct that to that call to action message. So if you're sharing a photo of something and maybe you say, post a photo in the comments of what you're doing today. If it's a photo of you out for a walk, maybe, and you're saying had a great walk today, you can say, show me what you did today in the comments. Or another great way is holding contests. You can say, if it's for an event, you can say like this post and comment for this chance to win 2 tickets to this event or a gift card or something like that. And that also boosts engagement. It's really about all that call to action and what your call to action is, whether it's like this post, visit this link, comment a photo, all of those things, as well as changing the messaging, as well as we saw in that storytelling, maybe incorporating more of that storytelling aspect. So more people are getting more emotionally engaged posts and wanting to act on that call to action a bit more.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And something I've seen through managing the Amaryllis campaign is having that call to action and relating it back to your family or your personal experience with HD really helps, bump up, I think, the engagement from, something that can be pretty generalized, like an Amaryllis. You're seeing them in lots of stores or on other gardening sites and stuff. But when you can associate it back to that personal aspect, I think we've seen some people have some really good success when they share why that's the better way to purchase Amaryllis than through a store. And I really liked your comment earlier, Deanna, about, making things personal, because I have said to some of our Amaryllis sellers that pictures that they've posted of themselves holding the box or with an Amaryllis tend to do really well compared to just a picture of the box itself or a picture of just the flower. So I think that's really good advice from you on that relatability and personal aspect. And I appreciate you answering all these questions. If you do have any other questions, we're out of time for questions right now, but as Deanna said, feel free to shoot her off an email, or as she runs all of HSC social medias, you'll be able to DM her, like we learned earlier, on any of those platforms, and it will be Deanna who will be responding to you. So she is happy to follow up with you after conference, and we're very grateful for her agreeing to do that. And I would just like to extend a big thanks to Deanna for all of that really useful information.